So Raj, you talked about personal motivation. Obviously, pharmaceuticals are capital intensive, right? Like, how do you start with that whole? Like, how did you go about funding it?
Yeah, can you guys hear me? This works. Okay, so I think when you go back 30 years ago or 40 years ago, the generic pharma was coming or evolving, right? At that time, coming up with a generic pharmaceutical company was not that difficult. People were raising some capital and they would go and then they would come out with a generic product. There were not many companies also, but they were becoming successful, right? But as the time passing by, the companies from India, the companies from China, they saw the opportunity in the U.S. Like the Medicaid, Medicare, the insurance companies, the payers. They don't want to pay for brand products, so they wanted a copycat where they could pay much lesser, right? So this competition has come so much. So by the time when we were ready to get into some kind of a unique opportunity, we thought, we know that the generic industry is going to be too complicated, and market is, one of my partners says, market is not a friend anymore, because there's so much of competition. They want to buy pills for pennies. A medicine that is going to be curing a heart disease, and they're expected to sell a bottle for $1, $2 pills, and everything is going to go down the tubes, right? So where is the value there, right? So it was a tough decision when we decided we wanted to do something very different than all the other generic companies were doing. It's a traditional model, they were developing solid orals. Everybody wants to go with large volume product because there's volume there so we can make money, right? But what we thought was, we're not going to go and touch any large, even though I was an expert in Lipitor, my mandate was I'm not going to touch Lipitor when I start this company. And I told my partners, we're not going to touch any of the Pfizer products because I don't want to be considered as someone, who's taking advantage, right? So we said, let's do different. Let's take the existing brands, improve them. Maybe we could reduce the dosage. Maybe 50 milligrams is too much for a body to take, and then there's going to be a lot of side effects. Why can't we just make a pill? A 5 milligram of the same drug can do the same job, right? And that was very innovative and unique. That's the reason why we call ourselves Recon Pharma was research, innovative concept, and pharmaceutical. That was our thing. Myself and my partner, and I have another partner here who joined us and who run our Indian R&D there. So we said, okay, let's start doing that. But unfortunately for us, the market in 2008, if there are people in the financial, stock market, crashed. Everything came down. The people were laying up. The companies were laying up people. There's so many people available. We started a company, and we started hiring because we had this vision that let's do something different. Right? We're going to stand out from all the other companies. So we said, why don't we do diversified dosages? We're not just going to do solid orals, right? We're going to take any dosage form that is out there. Ointments, creams, lotions, transdermals, solid orals, injectables. We said, okay, let's start working towards that. The 505(b)(2) or that reposition thing didn't work out because none of the brand company wanted to listen to us, even though we said we can innovate your product and then we could get you 5 years of exclusivity. They didn't want to spend any money. They said, if you have a product that can be marketable, we're going to sign you something. Or they said, if you pass something, you claim it. So you spend the money, which is going to cost us $5 million per product, and then you come and then we would do something for you, right? We were a little bit disappointed that, as an entrepreneur, when you wanted to do something good, when you're not getting support from the industry. And unfortunately, the FDA came in. It was like a kick in the butt, right? They came and they said the FDA filing fees you have to pay. Before, the generic companies, they used to file the application, they never used to pay any fee. We were asked to pay $250,000 per application. And they said, if you're manufacturing, you're going to pay another $250,000 for manufacturing. So how are we going to manage with the money that we have, right? So it was a challenge for us, even though, as Baba said, pharma is not easy anymore. Before, 30 years ago, people would collect 2 million, 3 million, they would go and build a company. And companies like Amneal, they started with $70,000. I heard the chairman or the CEO of Amneal talking about it, but not anymore. If you want to get into pharma, you better have $100 million commitment. Then only there is something that you can do, right? But yeah, we went through a lot of challenges and we had to change our strategy. We said we're not going to do the reposition anymore. Let's do some niche products where these products are ignored. I'm going to give you an example. Ivermectin is a product, when we started developing, it was $2 million annual sales. We said there is no generic, Merck is the only product. Let's develop that, and then we would introduce, maybe we can make $500,000 out of it, right? That was our intention. So we went, and then we looked at those niche markets. And then we said, let's look at some barriers to entry, right? And people who studied business, they went to business school, the barrier to entry is a big thing in any business, right? You want to do business, you have to come out with something which is very complicated and no other people can do it. And we said, hey, we know science. We worked in bigger pharma, we worked in generic companies, we hired some of the top talent. Let's coach them, let's train them. We're going to work on very complicated stuff. And then we started seeing some success, right? But then I was running out of cash. I was the CEO of the company. I have to pay the scientists. I have to pay myself. Otherwise, I left a fantastic job I had. I was making a lot of money in Pfizer. I left that. I jumped into this ocean of entrepreneurship. Yeah, it was tough, right? So we wanted to do something different. So what we did is partnering with other companies, making relationships with other companies, negotiating with vendors. These are some of the strategies that we use. We said, let's go find a sales and marketing company. They don't know how to develop a product. We know how to develop a product. We know how to file the product. We know how to manufacture the product. But they know they can go and sell. We have absolutely no knowledge of selling. So we found companies like that. They know us. There was the credibility. They came running to us. They said, hey, we want to sign up 5 products with you. Okay. So at that time, each product would cost us about $500,000. So we said, okay, we would put in $250,000. You put in $250,000. We're going to come. So that's how we conserved our cash. We made relationships, and then we started developing products. But we went into those niches, complicated products, and we are proud to say that some of the products that we got approval, we were the only generic for 10 years, meaning there was no competition. We were making money. So that's how we were able to get the cash coming into the company, and that's how we were made some strategic decisions of acquiring a manufacturing facility. Then we said, we can't sell, and if we give someone a partnership, we're going to give away 50% of it. Why not we do it together? So we met Agenus Pharmaceuticals, which signed up 15 products with us. They're purely sales and marketing company. They came to us and we started developing them. They saw the results and they came back and said, hey Raj, we want to sign up another 20 products. Right? That was great. Then I was sitting and talking to Raju Montana, who's the CEO and chairman of Agenus. Now he's the CEO and chairman of Agenus Pharmaceuticals, merged company. And we said, let's put the companies together. Okay? And he said, hey, we can bring money, but then you have to dilute your shares. And this, one thing I want to tell the entrepreneurs, if you want to succeed, you need to be prepared to give away your shares, right? If you don't give your shares, you want to hold them, you're not going to go anywhere. So we diluted our shares. We took them as our emerging partners. Then we started doing our own products. We started selling our own products. We started partnering, but then we started hiring more people because there was money. And the money that came to us, we didn't take that money, put it in the pocket. We said, let's put everything back into it. That's how we need to do it. If you want to become an entrepreneur, don't take the money, put it in your pocket. The money has to go into the company. And that was every partner's mindset was that, let's build an organization. The money will come later. So we put all the money, we hired several people, we hired PhDs, we built the company, we bought equipment, and then so many products were approved. One of the challenges when FDA came up with this fees thing, we were spending money, but our approvals usually takes about 2 years to get an approval. Some of those initial products, it took 5 years for us to get the approval. So there was no revenues coming into the company. Not easy, guys. So you have to give it away. You need to partner. And that's how we did it. And we came out with some of the fantastic products. And we successfully made it through. Now I can sit here and say, when I look back at 17 years, we are one of the very few companies, I can probably say that, in the world, which has developed any kind of dosage form, any kind of injectable, any kind of eye product, nasals, anything. You know, the employees are sitting there, the ones who have actually worked on it. Some we acquired them, some we developed them, and then we made it. But not easy. I'm sorry to say that, but it was a big challenge. We lost our health, but it's worth it. But we believe in people. We are about 600 people now working in the organization. We didn't take any bonuses. Honestly, we had to cut our salaries to give the money to our employees. And fortunately, they all stayed with us. And the success is not because of that. I still say that the success of HNS right now is because of the people that we hire.
That's amazing. Great